what you say and what you do. Don't be fooled next time, it could be you. Give me another chance. Even a righteous man falls down 7 times, but he'll get up if he knows in his mind. Give me another chance. There have no temptation taken you, but what is common to man? But God is faithful. The way of escape He's made for you. So when you fall, this is what you gotta do. If you fall, don't stay down. Gotta get up again. Oh Lord, give me another chance. And just in case I make a mistake, Lord, please show me your grace. Lord, give me another chance. Oh, if you fall, don't stay down. Gotta get up again. Oh Lord, give me another chance. And just in case I make a mistake, Lord, please show me your grace. Oh Lord, give me another chance. Oh, if you fall, don't stay down. Gotta get up again. Oh, please give me another chance. And just in case I make a mistake, Lord, please show me your grace. Please show me your grace. Lord, give me another chance.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM Translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City, Pleasantville. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily those of WEHA, Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM. We Have Gospel, Spread the Gospel Inc., or any of its sponsors. WEHA is a listener-supported radio station. To make a donation, call 609-641-8870. Visit our headquarters at 3 Canal Drive, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, 08234. Or log on to our website, wehavegospel.com.
We have gospel.
If you just tune in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon and First Lady Parrish right here on your 2-time Stellar Award winning gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. We are live in the studio today, and we have a wonderful program for you on today. And we want to make sure that you, click the button and share it, and click like and share it, and so people will know exactly that we're here in the studio today. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Hawks family businesses who've been serving our community for over 30 years, and Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. All right, so we're live in the studio on today, and let's see what we're going to do. We got a few announcements on today. Today, New Mount Calvary Baptist Church and UGS Ministries presents the Patricia E. Moore 23rd Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest, featuring gospel duo Duncan and Rachel. I am so excited. I'm looking forward to this. I look forward to it every year. And there's going to be a musical tribute to the gospel music giant, the late Bishop Norman Hutchinson, by the minister Thomas Jennings and the Inspirational Choral Ensemble, the New Mount Calvary Tribute Male Chorus, the Darrell Robinson Trio, and the United Gospel Singers. That's going to be tonight. The doors open at 5 p.m. and the program starts at 6 at the Winsand Center at Mount Zion Baptist Church, 353 South New Road in Pleasantville, New Jersey. All right, enjoy a slamming soul food buffet. Come feed your body and your soul. I'm not sure if they have any more tickets event, because this every year is a sold out event. But, you know, just in case, there are a few tickets left. You can call 609-909-8729 or go to the QR code that's on my page or the New Mount Calvary Baptist Church's page. Okay, let's see here. I got a few other announcements that I want to make sure that everybody is aware. Now, join us for Bark in the Park. All right, it's the biggest dog-friendly event in South Jersey. All right, it's today, September the 13th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it's at the Atlantic County 4-H Fairgrounds. And this is a free event. If you love dogs and have a pet, I don't have time for animals, but it doesn't mean I don't love them. I just don't have the time. But if you have your dog and you want to just go out, this is going to be a wonderful event. You can go to that on today. On tomorrow, the Camden County Board of Commissioners, the mayor, and the Camden County Partnership proudly presents Gospel Fest along the waterfront, featuring Hezekiah Walker and friends. I should have said Bishop Hezekiah Walker and friends. And that's going to be tomorrow from 3 to 8 p.m. Performances all day on the Roland Traynor River Stage at Riggins Park. There's going to be a special performance by the Wagner Alumni Choir and a tribute to the late legendary Bishop Barbara Ward Farmer. Special guest and MC, Brother Marcus, Philly's favorite 100.7 FM. And for more information, that's on my page, and you can go, and it's a QR code, and you can tag and click onto that. Atlantic Cape Community College has a free 12-week course, for New Jersey veterans. Classes on Zoom, materials included, start September the 25th. The course will explore themes of war and reconciliation through literature, philosophy, art, and history. A high school diploma or GED is not required. It's Thursday evenings on Zoom, September the 25th to December the 18th. All class materials are provided and they are free. And this information is also on my page, and you can go and click onto that, and that's free. Anything free, me and Lady Parrish, we try to find it for you. Strengthening community collaborations. Virtual town hall hosted by the Atlantic City, New Jersey chapter, The Links Incorporated. This is going to be Thursday, September the 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Learn, gain insight into ongoing initiatives and challenges shaping the southern New Jersey region. Lead, community voices take the stage to share their priorities and vision for impact. Connect, foster partnerships, and lay the foundation for future collaborative actions. And you can register for this event. That's on my page. Sonia Gillespie Harris, President. Christina Carr, Chair. All right. Now, I want everybody to know, in the township of Hamilton, on my page, and also the police department has this. If you would like to receive alerts from the township of Hamilton including police-related matters, information from Public Works, or emergency notifications, you may sign up by clicking on the link that is on my page or on the website of Hamilton Township or the police department, and scan the QR code. And by texting this, you will be entered into the database, and every time that something happens, you will be aware of it. And the reason why I'm making this announcement, because a few weeks ago we had some issues with our water, and a lot of people didn't know about it. So this is a way that we are being proactive in Hamilton Township, and we wanted to make sure that everyone else is aware. Hamilton Township announcement. I was approached by one of my constituents about the homelessness in Hamilton Township. Hamilton Township does have a plan in place. All right. If you encounter a homeless individual, please contact the Hamilton Township Police Department's non-emergency number at 609-625-2700. Our partnership with the Jewish Family Services provides assistance, and it has been effective. I personally utilized this process a few days ago. I was coming out of the exit where Staples is, and Kohl's, and there was a woman standing there with a sign and with a suitcase, and I practiced this and I called, and it worked. So I do know that Atlantic County has a program for people that are homeless, but I'm specifically was talking about Hamilton Township. But if you are and I know Atlantic City, they have a huge program and finances, a grant and all, where they take care of the homeless as well. And I wanted to make that announcement. Also, election date this on next week. The mail-in ballots will begin being mailed out on October the 14th. Voter registration deadline, and they will even have evening hours if people are not registered. If you're not registered, it is important for you to be registered, because we have a gubernatorial race, we have local races, we have county races, and you want your voice heard. In the last election, a lot of people did come out and vote. People say people didn't come out and vote. They did. 77 million Republicans, 75 million Democrats voted, and 90 million people stayed home. Okay, so you want your voice heard. Some people say it don't make a difference whether I vote or not. Who cares? It does make a difference. All right, it makes a difference. And so don't assume that person got it anyway, so I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to register. I'm not going to worry about it. If you want your voice heard, please register. If you're not registered and you want to get registered, you can also contact me. I'm easy to find, and I will make sure that you are registered for this upcoming election, which will be on November the 4th. The Westminster Christian Worship Center Food Distribution 2015 Morningside Avenue in Atlantic City will be on September the 24th. It will be from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. It's client's choice, first come, first serve, while supplies last. Bring your own reusable bag and or cart. Also giving away free diapers, detergent, and household products. What we will be doing on that day, we will have some extra resources that will be available for the community. We will have Access Link, because some people don't have transportation, and Access Link is a great way of transportation. Now the county has transportation, but their hours are limited, but they still are available. You can sign up with the county at 609-345-6700, but Access Link, they have more hours, and so we're going to have they're going to be there, and they're going to tell you all about the program so you can get signed up if this is something that you might need to take you to the doctors or wherever that you need to go. And it's at a very, very low cost. So we want everyone to keep those announcements in mind. All right. So we are here with Jared Lombardi, and he's been very busy. He's been very busy. I follow you on your page, and just in case you didn't know, I do follow you to see what you're doing, and you're doing a whole lot. You're doing a whole lot, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you and the things that you are doing. We're here to talk about this is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. But before we talk about that, we just, in case people don't know, you're not a stranger to the show. But just in case people don't know who Jerry Lombardi is, I want you to say something about yourself.
So I'll start out as I'm a loving father of a 1-year-old daughter, loving husband, a social worker that provides services.
You're fine.
Good. Social worker that provides services to Atlantic and Cape May County. I'm a community activist, organizing and hosting free community events in the Atlantic City and Pleasantville area, as well as providing services to the unhoused population through the organization called Angels in Motion. I also help in the way of community gardens in Atlantic City with Our Garden initiative, creating a safe space for individuals to come out and understand the benefits of being out in nature and putting our hands into the soil and taking pride in what we grow, especially in healthy food options that are made accessible through our own efforts. And that's a wonderful process. So it's great that I'm part of that initiative in Atlantic City and Pleasantville. And right now I'm a mental health and addiction counselor at Family Empowerment Recovery Services.
Wow, you are busy. You are all over the place. Social media shows now, if it's not true, social media has you here, you there. I saw you was at Hard Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, you was at Hard Rock a couple of days ago, and you're everywhere. And Angels in Motion is busy.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, they have so many events. I think the fourth Wednesday of every month, you're over at Bayfront Avenue in Pleasantville.
Yes.
Pastor Bartu's church. I know the name of his church, but I just cannot think of it at the top of my head right now. But you're there every fourth Wednesday, and you have blessing bags and hot dogs and hamburgers and resources, and busy.
Yes, and we just hosted an overdose awareness event last month at the same location, brought out over 100 community members, over 20 different agencies at the table, and a lot of community leaders came out. So we had the sheriff's office, we had local law enforcement, fire department from Pleasantville, we had the mayor of Pleasantville who attended as well. So it was a great event.
It's always great, and I love the what I see on social media and what you are doing. It's fantastic. But we're here today to talk about something else.
Yes.
We're here today to talk about suicide. And a lot of people, I didn't know anything about suicide too much until my retired boss, committed suicide. And I was totally devastated. I didn't see it. I saw different behaviors, but I never contributed to suicide. Okay, and so we're here to talk about that today, because there are a lot of people who have been through so much in their lives, they feel like ending it all. So we want to understand this, and we're going to have this discussion today. I want to say that if you're having a crisis even right now, you can call 988 and you can receive the help that you want to that you may need. There's nothing wrong with getting some help. There's nothing wrong with it. And I am in therapy myself, not for suicide, but I am in therapy because many of you know that I went through a traumatic ordeal with my health. I'm doing well now, but my insurance company called me, Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and said you have been through a lot, and we would suggest that you go through some therapy. And first, I didn't hesitate. I said, okay. It's not going to hurt. When I told a couple friends, one friend in particular, that I was going to do this, they told me that they didn't need that because they had Jesus. And I told them I have Jesus, prayer, the Bible, and a therapist. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with having a therapist, because sometimes you just might need that. It depends on what you're going through. All right. Everybody's different. And I just wanted to put that out there, being transparent. I'm not telling you to do something that I haven't tried or done myself. So, Jared, we want to talk about understanding suicide and mental health. Let's have that discussion.
Yeah, so we'll start out with what suicide is, and it's the intent to end your own life. And that usually comes from the unbearable emotional pain that that individual is experiencing, along with mental health challenges that leave them feeling hopeless. So it's not really that they want to end their lives. They want to end the pain because it's gotten to that point and they don't see an end to it unless they, end their own life. It's difficult because during that time you're not the most open because you are so focused and inside of your head that it's difficult for them to reach out for help, let alone find the strength or break the stigma that it's okay that they can reach out for help. Because like you said about those myths, the fact is you'll never harm an individual by checking in with them, by asking about their mental health, by asking, hey, I've been observing the warning signs, which we'll go over, but I've been seeing that, you're a little off. You're a little distant.
Right.
You seem sad. I just want to check in. Is everything all right? What's going on? I'm concerned about you. We want to feel them, have them feel seen, heard, and respected.
Right.
Who doesn't want to feel that way?
Right.
It's not promoted enough in our society to go over, just to start that conversation. So with suicide, it's really finding a permanent solution to a temporary problem, because it is temporary. It's for now, because we know we can find recovery. We can find the help of a treatment program. We can find the help of compliance with a medication that allows us to get a break from the thoughts. So there is help out there. It's just opening up about it, because we're not mind readers, but we can observe warning signs. We can observe behaviors. So we don't have to look into, and I don't know what's going on in their thought process. No, but we can see it through actions. And that's usually the little amount of action that they're taking is one of the red flags, one of the warning signs that we see. It's just like, if it's a classmate, especially with youth, and how it's the second leading cause between 10 to 34-year-olds, and it's especially in youth, it's something like that where we're going to really have to pay attention, especially in the classroom. It's just like, why have they been absent? Why have they been stating that they're sick a lot? Why have they been not communicating with other classmates? Why does it just seem like they are so distant from, wanting to socialize with anyone? And those are the things that we have to look out for. But with technology, it can be tough, because that distances us from, what is happening in reality and what is happening artificially.
That's true. What my former boss, he was a captain of the police department. There's a lot of suicides in law enforcement and
Yes.
fire departments and youth. And period, we would have discussions. And he would say stuff like, God would never forgive me for what I've done. And I would say, Cap, there's nothing that you've ever done that God won't forgive you for. Right? Or we would have, what do you think about if a person blows their brains out? And then I would say something like, that's stupid. Because what if the family wanted to have an open casket? That's not fair to the family. We had these conversations. I just didn't see him because he was the person that de-escalated situations, but there was some thought processing going on at the same time, but I wasn't trained in that area, you know, and this is almost 20 years ago, about 15 years ago. And when he retired, I still stayed in touch with him, but I did notice he started giving things away. That's a red flag. He started giving his exercise equipment and stuff that he really liked. He started giving stuff away. And it bothers me to this day. Because sometimes you're wondering, what could I have done? You know, why didn't I see it? You know, but we're going to talk about, you know, maybe red flags and, you know, a personal experience or something that you might want to share. I just never, ever dreamed or thought. It never crossed my mind that he would do anything like that. But I didn't see it. Maybe because I was too close to him. And sometimes you're too close to people. I did see him shutting his door off or doing certain things, but I took it that he was just having a bad day. Maybe him and his wife got in a fight, or, you know, or he got mad at his kids, or something was going on the job, and I would give him his time, and then he would come back around, but it was right there in my face. And I never saw it. And God knows, may he continue to rest in peace, you know. But we want to talk about a story. Do you have something that you would like to share?
Yeah, so I'll get into my testimony, but I just wanted to kind of loop back on what you were just sharing with us. So vicarious trauma is very strong. And working in that population, you know, secondary stress, it's, you know, it impacts us physiologically and psychologically. Stress impacts us negatively throughout our whole body. So, you know, we are creating mental health challenges for ourselves when trying to de-escalate mental health challenges in people in crisis.
Right.
Because we have to be the stronger person, but if we don't know how to engage in self-care to provide relief to ourselves, you know, provide relief to the tension that we feel from what we just experienced,
right?
Then, you know, we're storing it, and that breaks us down, and we get led into the situation of a person that we were always providing services to. Now we're on the other side, and we don't know. We don't have the tools,
right,
you know, to get through it, because we always knew, like, focus on the individual that we're providing services to. And we know that's known throughout the social work fields, first responders. We understand that. But on the other side of things, during that time, there wasn't a lot of conversation about self-care.
That's
you know,
true.
There wasn't about conversations about how I can take the time, you know, to sit and reflect and feel my emotions so I can heal from what I just experienced. And for your case, you know, if we don't have the tools during that time, if we don't have the education during the time, we can't feel guilt from it. Of course, we can naturally, but at the same time, we need to remind ourselves that I didn't have that information, though.
Right.
So I can't get down on myself because I couldn't attach it to a skill set that wasn't there.
Right.
You know, and I had to remind a lot of individuals, especially survivors of loss and parents, it's just like, but that information didn't come until after their death.
Right.
It wasn't before. So let's get a timeline going in the way of when you gain that information. If it was gained after the fact, well, then you weren't able to use it during that time. And if it's not something that's really talked about in our community as much, then it's not like you said, you can say that, oh, but it was stated here and there and there. It was on this commercial, you know, and that's how strong the stigma is still. You know, we're finding relief to that. But leading into my story, I am a suicide attempt survivor. Back in 2006, I entered into college not to successfully achieve a degree, but to successfully end my life. It came from years of being bullied at home and at school. So in my situation, my emotional pain was very severe. And as a youth, you look around and you're like, how do I go through a life feeling like this every single day where I'm not being felt like I'm seen, heard, or respected by anyone? I'm being disrespected. I'm being torn down. I'm being not included in anything positive and just pushed towards the negative. And the most negative was just the back of my mind, you know, the darkest corner of my mind, in which is isolation. I never opened up because, unfortunately, when it came to where I went to church, it was frowned upon. You know, suicide was, that stigma was so strong in my church, you know, that it distanced me from opening up because I knew if I brought it up that I would be looked at as a problem. They would have fed into the stigma, and then my parents would have looked at it as like, okay, there's shame from you wanting to end your life.
Yeah, what are we doing? And we giving you the best that we could do and all of that.
Yeah, so it's a conversation that's not really had a lot because, you know, we look to faith as hope in our situations. For me, when it came to my church in particular, we know church is still a building and it's the people that are inside of it. Well, the people inside my church weren't the supportive ones. They weren't the ones that wanted to start open conversations that if you were struggling with mental health challenges, please come to your priest. You know, please open up to one of our staff members. That wasn't a conversation.
That wasn't. We're going to keep that right there because we're getting ready for a break and we'll be right back.
Do you have an event coming up and need a facility? Well, let me tell you about Atlantic County's newest banquet facility, Beacon Hall, located in the heart of Egg Harbor City, right off the White Horse Pike. Beacon Hall is a full-service banquet facility that is 5,000 square feet with an attached parking lot. Book your conferences, book signings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, repasts. No event is too big or too small. You can book your next event by calling us at 609-965-4255 or email us at bookbeaconhall@gmail.com. That's BOOKBEACONHALL @gmail.com. Try Beacon Hall, where we turn moments into cherished memories.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety
Hawks Janitorial Contractors Corp. was established in 1987 by husband and wife team William and Elaine Hawks. Our motto is a great job at a fair price. The Hawks team is skillful, customer-focused, delivering quality janitorial services that meet and exceed our clients' specific needs. Hawks Janitorial Contractors Corp., proud sponsors of Gospel 88.7 FM. For more information, 609-484-0452.
What if I could tell you when a tornado was going to strike? course, I can't. But shouldn't you be ready anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait.
New Mount Calvary and UTS Ministry presents the Patricia E. Moore's 23rd Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest. Saturday, September 13th, 2025, 6 p.m. Doors open at 5. The Winsan Center at Mount Zion, 353 North New Road, Pleasantville, New Jersey. Featuring the Dale Robinson Trio, New Mount Calvary Male Chorus, the United Gospel Singers, South Jersey's favorite gospel duo, Duncan and Rochelle. And a tribute to the late Bishop Norman Hutchins by Minister Thomas Jennings and the Inspirational Choral Ensemble.
Listen, I'm a soldier on the battlefield, and I'm fighting.
Tickets $45, $50 at the door. Children 12 and under, $20. Get yours at New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, WEHA radio station. Call 609-909-8729. The 25th Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest, Saturday, September 13th. Come feed your body and your soul. New Mount Calvary and UTS Ministry presents the Patricia E. Moore's 23rd Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest, Saturday, September 13th, 2025, 6 p.m. Doors open at 5. The Winsan Center at Mount Zion, 353 North New Road, Pleasantville, New Jersey. Featuring the Dale Robinson Trio, New Mount Calvary Male Chorus, the United Gospel Singers, South Jersey's favorite gospel duo, Duncan and Rochelle. And a tribute to the late Bishop Norman Hutchins by Minister Thomas Jennings and the Inspirational Choral Ensemble.
Listen, I'm a soldier on the battlefield, and I'm fighting.
Tickets $45, $50 at the door. Children 12 and under, $20. Get yours at New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, WEHA radio station. Call 609-909-8729. The 25th Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest, Saturday, September 13th. Come feed your body and your soul.
Tune in to In the Key of G with Bishop John Gandy every third Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., featuring religious talk, hot topics, and interviews with interesting guests, right here on Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM WEHA.
If you just tune in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon and First Lady Parrish, right here on your two-time Stellar Award-winning gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Hawks Family Businesses, who've been serving our community for close to 40 years. And Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. So we want to thank them for sponsoring our show. Listen, we want to make sure that everybody is out tonight at the New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and UGS Ministries presenting the Patricia E. Moore 23rd Annual Soul Food Gospel Fest. And I wanted to say that they're going to be honoring Pastor John Martin with the William Moore Sr. Unsung Hero Award. And certainly Pastor Martin is certainly worthy and deserves this award. So we all want to be there in support of that on this evening. And as we normally do, we give a shout out to those that are listening. We want to thank Mary Parrish, my co-host, for being on today and also making all of the arrangement with Jared Lombardi. I do appreciate that. And she gave us the address. Every fourth Wednesday, they're at the Christ Worship Center, 429 West Bayview Avenue in Pleasantville. All right, so that's where Angels in Motion, and that's where they are every fourth Wednesday. We're in Atlantic City, but they're in Pleasantville, and they're still doing it. We want to say good morning to Deborah Dozier. Good morning to Carolyn Barksdale. She says our community needs to hear and know how to help or get help. And at Houston, my cousin from North Carolina, Statesville, North Carolina, this is great information. So we're going to continue in, I don't think that I missed anybody, but if I did, charge it to my head and not my heart. Those are the names that I saw in the caption when we were getting ready to get started. So when we left Jared, we were talking about your story.
Yes.
And so let's continue.
So we left off where I felt there was guilt and shame attached to opening up about my suicidal thoughts. So for me, that redirected my thought process in the way of planning how I was going to end my life. Through my senior year of high school, it changed several times and into the point where I got to college and created a creative way of doing it through the lethal consumption of alcohol. I didn't want that shame and guilt of a suicide letter that was left behind to fall on my parents, thinking that, you know, they failed as parents. You know, I didn't want to leave that with them. So in doing so, freshman year, like I said, I followed through. I built the courage to end my life. People don't understand how we had to find the strength in actually taking action to the plan. But when that pain is so unbearable, keyword unbearable, you do build that courage. So I did attempt first semester of my freshman year at college. Did it on campus, wandered off campus. It was a message of hope not during that time for me, but as I reflect on it, where one of our campus security officers saw me stumbling off campus into the neighborhood right next to us. So she sent out campus security to basically check in on me because they saw that I was stumbling and falling over. This was not something that I remember, of course, but when they did find me, I was passed out on the street and my heart had stopped.
Wow.
EMT showed up and they had to revive me. I woke up in a hospital to a phone call by my father asking if I was okay. Of course, during that time, I'm just waking up, not even knowing where I was. Of course, coming down from being intoxicated and being pumped full of fluids and just very confused. So at that time, yes, the words should have been, no, I'm not okay. I just tried to kill myself. But
that didn't come out.
That was very distant, nor was it something that I wanted to open up about because I was still trying to process of why am I still alive? I remember after the next day, I went to the local church by campus and I asked God, why? Like, why am I still here? And I didn't get that answer until years later. But I did receive an answer, and it's in what I'm doing right now. It came through my recovery. It came through the assistance of a friend that saw the warning signs in me because of his own suicidal thoughts, but he was further in his healing in the way of he went to a crisis care. He had a therapist. He had a psychiatrist. So when he saw that in me, he was motivated. You know, he saw hope, you know, and it was time for him to share. And that's the beautiful thing about it. It's when you finally see that light, you know, after seeing so much darkness, you know, when you actually, you know, see that there's relief to the situation you're in just through that first conversation where I have a counselor staring at me, asking how they can support me.
Right.
Not judging me at all, no bias, just there to see how they can help save my life.
Right.
And that's what I needed. You know, I needed a friend that... Now, we need a friend to address it, but we also need a friend that's going to take you to get the help.
Right.
Not saying, hey, show up to this address.
Right.
No, we had to follow through.
Right.
It's every bit of taking those steps. So if we're seeing that there's warning signs, if you're seeing that someone is being depressed, down, or really talking about things that, you know, they typically don't talk about, like giving away their stuff or even cracking jokes about ending their life. You know, some people provide relief through humor to their suicidal thoughts. But we need to really address that if someone's joking around about killing themselves. It's just like, okay, well, maybe not around the people that you're talking to, but pulling them off to the side separately and being like, hey, just want to kind of check in, because if you're not going through any struggles, we also want to educate them and make them aware that, that could be also triggering for other individuals if we are joking around about suicide. But it can also be the conversation that's going to save their lives, because you heard them joke around about it and you checked in with them,
right?
Just to see, okay, is this, actually, something going on in your head? Humors could be still covering up that depression. So my friend brought me. He didn't even have a car. He got his mom to pick me up with him. Yeah, this was, I'm of course look at him as a brother to this day, but he brought me to crisis care, and he stayed in the waiting room with me because he also knew, because these are the things that he thought about doing when he went. So it was just like, no, I'm going to stay here until you actually go back to that room.
Right.
So we're not going to get out of this waiting room.
Right.
I'm not going to drop you off. I'm not going to bring you to the waiting room, and then I'm going to leave, and then you're going to wait 5 minutes and
then you
go down
leave.
the steps.
Right.
Yes. So that's, we're there, throughout that whole process. And I would hope everybody, if you really care about this individual, or if you want to actually save someone's life, that you would do the same.
Right.
Because we're allowed to go up to those rooms with them. We're allowed to sit in the waiting area with a person. I've done it with several clients in the unhoused population or in community work or whoever I work with now, because I know that that's the first thing you think of is, how do I get out of this? How do I go back to the dark that I was just in? This is uncomfortable. I don't like this discomfort. It's different than the pain, emotional pain that I'm experiencing. This is uncertain to me.
Wow.
I don't really like it, but until you actually see that, okay, this is something new. This is something that I needed.
Right.
This conversation is going to save my life in this moment.
So he had patience. He did not leave. He did not drop you off and say, I got you there and see you later.
Yes.
He sit right in the waiting room with you until you got into the back of the room. That's key.
Key. And I want to bring that up because it's one thing that we can state, yes, provide them resources, but if we really, really want to make sure that we are saving individuals' life, we want to be there the whole time. We want to make sure that there's transportation set up. We want to make sure that they're getting into the facility, and we want to make sure that they're actually sitting with a therapist. So it can be time consuming, but that little amount of time, in comparison to the life that you are giving someone, the years of life that you are giving someone outside of, an hour or two of your time.
Now, did he go with you every time you went, or he just went that one time and that was all?
Just that one time was really all I need. I mean, it would really came back to feeling seen, heard, and respected, because it was just the bullying that carried with me, that childhood story that carried with me into adulthood.
Right.
And eventually things needed to change. But at times for us, things won't change until the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of changing.
Right.
And that's where I was, because I aborted over a dozen attempts during the 10-year span. It took me 10 years to finally see a therapist. So all of this also during that time was okay, I've been focused so much on the negative. I need to shift that mindset to focus on the positive, because it hasn't been working out, and I need to realize maybe this isn't the route. Maybe this isn't the path that I need to be taking in life. And I don't know what that looked like during that time, but I trusted that if I got the help and I followed through with the steps that I needed to, then I would actually instill the hope in my journey.
Absolutely. And you know what, Jared? You will help so many people that I would never be able to help because of your experience. And I believe that everything that we go through in life, whether positive or negative, can be used to help other people. And so you've been able to do that. You didn't know at the time when you were in dark places that you would be doing what you're doing now.
And that's why I call them messages of hope. But I didn't see those messages of hope until recovery.
Right.
I self-medicated with substances during that 10-year period. So that's how I was providing relief to the emotional struggles, was through substance use. That's all I knew. I didn't know what breathing techniques were. I didn't know what a boundary was.
Right.
It's like couldn't even tell you the definition of a boundary during that time.
But now you can.
Yeah, of course.
So what? You have a remarkable story. I hope that you put this in a book form one day. That you write a book. I've been talking about writing a book about my life. I haven't done it yet, but I think that it'll be a #1 seller.
Thank you.
I really do. We want to talk about, because we have about 15 minutes, so I want to. You talked about your story. What are some preventative measures that can be used for a person that may be contemplating or contemplating suicide? What are some? I can already say one: prevention and intervention. One was listening to somebody and staying with them. Right? Don't just tell them about the resource and leave them. It's like when you witness to somebody about God and and say, God loves you, and then you leave them.
Yes.
You gotta stay with them. Stay with them. And so, what are some prevention and intervention tips that you think that would be good for our listening audience today?
Well, I did want to go over the statistics real quick, just so I don't overlook them. So, over 49,000 people kill themselves each year. It's not commit suicide, it's die by suicide or kill themselves. Death by suicide is another term. We don't want to do commit because, we commit homicides, commit crimes. So we want to, death by suicide. Or killed themselves.
Or they
because,
killed themselves.
We need to stop jumping around what actually happened. It's feeding the stigma. It's not breaking the stigma. We need to get a little more comfortable in stating those things and not being so sensitive around certain words that they've been thinking. I told you, it's not harmful to bring up, hey, I've been seeing some warning signs. Do you plan on killing yourself? Do you have a plan to die by suicide? Do you deal with suicidal thoughts? Things of that nature. It's not going to be harmful. It's going to make them feel like, oh wow, someone's been paying attention. I'm not alone.
Right. So now, if a person is experiencing like a mental health situation, they may not be truthful with you when you are asking them if they're going to do that.
Yes.
So, although you may see them acting strange, and you ask them the question, are you thinking about killing yourself? They're going to tell you no. So what do? Like, if you see the signs, but the person themselves is experiencing a mental crisis, and they're saying, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me. What do you do in that situation?
So in that situation, because it can be tough, and when being suicidal, it can look in a lot of different forms. People always tell me after I came out publicly about my story, they were like, Jared, I would have never knew that you were suicidal. And it's just like, well, when you're distant from a lot of people, yeah, you wouldn't have. And if you're going off of me in school, yeah, I was distant because I was being bullied, so it wasn't. And how many times are we really looking at attention deficit? Come on, how many when we're youth, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, are we going over warning signs in health class? No, we're not. So it's another thing. It's just like you never had that information.
Right.
You never, and if you weren't linked to a death of a loved one or a family member, anyone that has you linked to suicide, then yes, then you would never identify it in the person. So just knowing that starting the conversation earlier on with your friends and family members, coworkers, classmates, whoever it may be, is the best way of leading them away from ever following through with their plan. And having the consistent conversation.
Right.
If someone crosses your mind, reach out to them.
That's true.
Once again, they're probably crossing your mind for a reason. And it's like, why did this person just randomly come up? I haven't talked to them in a long time. Well, maybe because you haven't talked to them in a long time, and hey, we're not going to do any harm by starting a conversation. Now, on the other side of starting the conversation, consistent conversation. And of course, if they say no, it's like, all right, how do we find relief to the tension and the emotional pain that you're experiencing? So you can say, no, I'm not having any issues, but you could be wearing it. Like,
right.
I could see how depressed you are because, we're just lethargic, our heads are down, we're just...
You're off.
Yes.
They're off.
Yeah, we're unmotivated, and that's usually the lack of... we're in a dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin deficit. Oxytocin is the love hormone. Okay, how about we just show some affection?
Right.
How about we show some love? And that doesn't have to be a hug, a kiss. It would be great if you could, but, if your coworker, like, you're not as friendly, of course, we want to have some boundaries on that end, but we can share love in the way of walking through nature for 20 minutes. It decreases your stress levels over 30%. And that's the way that we think more clearly. Because with our stress, that's what clouds our minds to not see that light.
Right.
It's very cloudy up here in our minds during the time that we're suicidal.
Now, a lot of military people, if you ride by, you'll see like a lot of flags, like in one section. Is because so many military people kill themselves every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, is it possible if you see something from a military, if you had somebody in the military and they may be suffering from PTSD or whatever, can you get them to help, or does the person need to get the help themselves? Can you say, I can see that you're having some crisis? And they're going to say, no, I'm not. I'm fine. And you take them to to get some help, or does the person themselves? What if they don't know that they need the help? Because a lot of people need help. They say they don't need it. Mm-hmm. So how do you help a person that feels like they don't need the help?
You leave them with resources,
okay.
And so
it's good.
And we don't want to have them distance themselves from us. So if that's the beginning of the conversation, we want to keep that trust going. Like, we don't want it to be in the way of, okay, well, now this person's telling me that I need to do this, I need to do that, or
right.
I'm not leaving their side. Like, at that point, it's, okay, here's some resources. Here's the 988 number, which leaves you anonymous. Here's a number to a person that's going to be a crisis counselor that's going to be able to help provide relief to your emotional pain during this time, and I won't know about it.
Right.
And
right.
that has been very beneficial, especially in now a big decrease in the suicide rate in the United States since the 988 number was activated. And now they have a mobile crisis response team in each municipality of the state for the 988 number. So once before, it was kind of going with local law enforcement and PIP and
mm-hmm.
health facilities. Now they have their own mobile crisis response. So they're coming right out after being on the phone with you.
So even if because we're on the internet also, so no matter where you are in the country, if you know someone, we can give them that resource, 988, and then they're going to send a crisis team right to where they are.
Yes, and they have a veteran department as well, strictly for veterans, because they know the lack of resources. Unfortunately, we have left for them when they come home. Wow. And that's why there's such a high suicide rate, because it's similar to my past experience. they self-medicate
Right.
with substances and alcohol. And that conversation that should be started is really distant, and they usually isolate. So they can have family, but then they can also sit in their room by themselves each day. I had a friend do the same thing and just drink every single day.
Right.
And, suppress all their feelings and emotions because they didn't get that support. They didn't get that parade that they wanted when they got home in the way of appreciation, like everything that they just went through.
Right.
It's the trauma that they experienced that wasn't identified. So it comes back to feeling seen, heard, and respected. And that is a key part in when they come home from active duty. Is that should be the first thing, is how do we make them feel loved? How do we make them feel alone? How do we make them feel appreciated for the sacrifices
Right.
that they made while being over there?
Now, I watched The American Sniper. I don't know if you watched that movie.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. And he tried to help somebody, and he ended up dying. A vet killed him. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes people are dealing with mental things, and you don't have the tools to deal with that. I saw someone the other day, and I called the police department where I live at to assist the person. I seen the time I would have put that person in my car, or say, what can I do? That doesn't mean that I don't help, but where are the boundaries? You know what I'm saying? When do you... American Sniper got killed by somebody. He was trying to help, but he didn't really know that person. But even if you know him, they could be going through something so mental. Should you call for help, or what should you do as an individual?
So if it seems like, okay, this person is not focused on his recovery, and they've gotten to that point where they're decided. They're not sharing with you that they're decided, but you can tell, like, this is going to be soon. Then once again, that 988 number, they'll send out a crisis response team because you observe that behavior. The terminology that's used to be involuntarily committed, which is something that can be done in New Jersey, that will be held in a psychiatric facility for 72 hours to stabilize you. During that time, you could be held for longer, but at least 72 hours you'd be held. But you would have to throw around the terminology that you do plan on harming yourself.
Or somebody else.
Or someone else. So like you said, it's harming yourself or harming someone else, which can be a possibility because we've seen murder-suicides. We've seen individuals that have killed their wives or children sometimes. But I look at that as the conversation was really not started within that family to find out what mental health struggles this individual was dealing with. And that comes back to the veteran population. But having known that and knowing that you can still take action without that person disclosing it to you, it should make you feel some relief on the other side of that and not worry when you get home, oh, I hope they get the help they need. It's just like, no, you can move forward by trying to get the help they need, and they will check in with them.
The key is not to put them there and then go back and take them out because you feel sorry. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very emotional. So sometimes people have to be evaluated on where it doesn't mean they're going to be there a lifetime. Let the evaluation go through. Listen, we've been talking and our time is almost up, and you have some sunflowers here. I do want you to say something about that right quick.
Yeah, so I didn't mention it when I first came on, but I am a founder and director of a local nonprofit called The Positive Pursuit. Started during the pandemic to shine a light on the dark times that everybody was experiencing. So it was a way that I could get out in nature because I was recovering during that time from my own mental health challenges.